Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tinesha. This is Fun and Budget Act, and in this video, we are going to answer your questions on why am I such a crappy landlord. Okay, no, I'm just playing. We're going to answer the most asked questions or the most repeated questions in the video regarding my tenant hadn't paid her rent in 14 months. Now, y'all, out of 3,245 comments, I went through them. I put on my battle armor, my shield, my guards. So I went through them and I pulled out some of the more repeated questions, or sometimes just some statements that maybe we want to clap back on. I don't know. I'm tired. I don't know how I feel. I might not be in a clap back mood, but let's just go through this and answer what we can answer. And no, I'm not answering everything. Some things will be revealed in upcoming videos. But until then, here we go. Let's get started. We have 43 questions, guys. What state is the property in? The property is in Maryland. Maybe her phone was cut off. How do you know she blocked you? Okay, I know that she blocked me because, like I said before in an earlier video, I would call before and the phone would ring, 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 and then I would get sent to voicemail. Eventually, I was just sent to voicemail. There would be no ringing. The house falling into disrepair is not good. Could that have been avoided? And another version of that question or statement was, you need to bring that rental property to standard required to rent to a new tenant, whether she moves or not. She's been living there for over 10 years. There's normal wear and tear. It's your responsibility to upkeep, not just collect rent. True. Now, I think that where that came from is I said something about if she moved, it was going to take a good amount of money just to bring it up to standard again. I think I said something to that effect. I think I said I had to spend something like $10,000 to $20,000 just to bring it back together again. Now, when I said that, I didn't mean that the place was so not in standard. The place is in standard. Again, it's a Section 8 property. So this means that Section 8 does an inspection every single year. And if this property does not meet code or does not meet the standards of what Section 8 requires, Section 8 will not pay you. They give me 30 days to fix things, and they give the tenant 30 days to fix things. And if I don't fix things, I won't get my rent money. And if she doesn't fix things, she could possibly lose her voucher, okay? So what I meant was just the normal wear and tear that when a tenant moves out, because she had been living there for so long, that I know that there's probably a lot of work that needs to be done. For instance, I know I've had tile floors. When I lived there, I had new tile floors installed throughout the kitchen. And then when she lived there, I actually had tile floors installed throughout the entire basement. And the basement has a bedroom in it, it has a bathroom in it, and it has a full living area with a full wet bar in it, okay? I had that whole area done with tile floors. Going back for inspections, I could see that the tile floor was cracked in places. And tile will only crack like if you drop something heavy on it, it will crack or whatever. So I know that to rent it again, I will have to fix those cracks. I would have to either have floors replaced, I would have to have carpet replaced, which is normal wear and tear. And because this is a 3-level, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom, it's not like we're talking about a small floor space. We're talking about something substantial. I probably would have to replace appliances altogether. So just the normal stuff that would have to be replaced to make it, you know, presentable and rentable again for somebody new. Because I know a new tenant wouldn't want like old, crusty appliances. So that's what I meant. I didn't mean that she's living in a condition that was so horrible that, oh my goodness, I'm just a slumlord. No. I would evict her and take the loss. At the end of the day, it's an investment property now. You're already paying the mortgage, so she would need to be out. Also, I would use this time to take care of things in the home. Hopefully she doesn't watch your videos. It would suck if she watches your videos because she would then know your train of thought as well as your finances. For all you know, she may think, oh, she got it, and she doesn't want to evict me, so I'm not going anywhere. Okay, so with that, I guess there were no questions in that. I just want to talk about it. So here's the thing. I cannot control who watches my videos. One, because this was always, like I started this off as a finance channel to be an accountability partner for me, because I felt like at the time when I first started this channel, I was like, I make a good amount of money, but I really didn't have anything to show for the money. I knew that I wasn't doing the best that I could do with my money. And so I made this channel to be an accountability partner, to retrain the way I thought about money, to retrain the way I spent money, to retrain the way I invested money, okay? One thing I wasn't going to do was hide what I want to talk about on my channel for a tenant. I wasn't going to do that. So if she watches the channel, great. If she doesn't watch the channel, great. Basically, I never felt like, oh my goodness, I got to hide what I make and what I do because she may not pay her rent. And honestly, for 10 years, she paid her rent. Or was it 11 years? I don't know. For 10 or 11 years, she paid her rent every single month. This last year with the pandemic is when she stopped. I have no control over that. If that's the way she processed it, like, oh, you got it, I'm not going to give you anything. Shame on her. Shame on her. Shame on anybody who thinks that way, especially when you would only think that way when it comes to like a small landlord like me. And even if I bring in $10,000 a month in income, even if I bring in $15,000 a month in income, that's nowhere near the millions and billions of dollars a month that large corporations who have rental units, rental apartments, larger rental properties make. And they would never try that on those corporations, but you will try it with me. It's okay though, it's okay. Statement number 5, only rent to people with high credit scores. It's your leverage. People who have really high scores actually care. And as somebody also said, people with bad credit don't pay their bills. Now here's the thing. That is a huge assumption because she did have a good credit score. When I rented to her, she not only filled out an application that also inquired pulling her credit report, but we also had an in-person interview. I actually interviewed several prospects for this property. She was one of them. And so we did all of those things. But I just wanted to say that just because somebody's on Section 8, Section 8 does not equal bad credit. It doesn't. Actually, you do have to stay on top of your bills and you do have to pay your utilities, because if not, you could lose your Section 8 voucher. So that wasn't the case. Since your tenant is on Section 8, how is she paying since the government pays? I think that's another assumption that people made. People made the assumption that Section 8 meant that the government pays the entire rent and that the tenant pays nothing. That's not true. What happens with Section 8 is I, the landlord, sets my rent price. My rent price in this case is $1,750. It started out at $1,550, and over the years it moved up to $1,750. With that price, Section 8 then determines, there's a term for it. I don't remember the term, guys. But there's like a place that you can actually look up, like what is the rates that you can actually charge in your area. There's a whole guideline for this. I did it when I was first doing this. It's been so long that I haven't consulted that guideline since. But just know that there's a guideline. You cannot just make up a number and say this is the number. Section 8 has to agree to the number that you set, and the number that you set has to fall within that guideline, okay? And that guideline is not only per your area, it's also per the number of bedrooms in your unit, okay, that you get to charge. And so when you do that, Section 8 then determines what percentage is paid by who. And this is in a HAP agreement, which is the Housing Assistance Payment Contract, okay? That lets you know what percentage Section 8 is going to pay and what percentage of your rent the tenant is going to be responsible for paying. This agreement is updated as needed, and so you will receive addendums to this agreement as those numbers and percentages change. And I say that to be clear because I believe there was another comment where somebody thought that Section 8 was paying something, and then behind Section 8's back, I was requiring the tenant to pay another amount. No, that's not true. All the amounts are in my contract, all the amounts are in my lease agreement, and all the amounts are in the HAP agreement. Then somebody said, this is embarrassing. Most women are smarter. Oh, and then we have, do you have a smart man to lead you? Let him lead. You should have jumped on the forbearance that millions of Americans, including landlords, save of some cash, modify your loan to a 2% mortgage rate, and then really make you some money on that property in the future, plus paying off your house earlier from all that savings. Y'all don't know how many comments I got from sexist guys talking about some, I know you make all the money, but let a man tell you how to spend it. Boy, bye. That's all I have to say to that, honestly. And then these numbers are just so totally made up. It doesn't even make no sense. 2% mortgage rate. Show me where you got a 2% mortgage rate. Show me. People just be pulling numbers from the sky. Somebody said, I don't understand why this woman makes hasty decisions. It seems like she's living her life too fast. Also, I don't understand why she didn't get married to the biological father or of her child, or at least make sure he did some babysitting and provide financial help for the bills. In other words, have a boyfriend that has a job and a sense of responsibility. I'm not sure if that person is referring to me or they refer to the tenant. I don't know what they're talking about. And as far as the hasty decisions, I want to make another video, something about 10 times that my hasty decisions turned out to be the bomb. Like y'all, my life is absolutely amazing. I can't explain it to people who don't live their life this way. I walk by faith, not by sight. I walk by what I know is to be, not by what appears to be. I can't make that plain for anybody who doesn't speak that language. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, just about everything that I've ever done that always turned, I have no regrets in my life, first of all. Everything that I've ever done that turned out to be awesome for me was guided by that voice that said, go do this. Don't hesitate. Don't dilly-dally by trying to ask a bunch of questions, just trying to talk yourself out of something. Because a lot of times that's what we're trying to do when we're trying to collect all this research, trying to collect all this information. We're really trying to, I don't know, confirm whatever our loudest fears are. Or sometimes we're trying to confirm whatever we think our greatest hopes are. Whatever that is. I don't do any of that. I act. When I have a thing that says, girl, run, I run. I don't stop and say, why we running? Which way should we run? I go with spirit. My gut leads. My life is pretty awesome. I'm pretty successful. If you was talking to me as far as why didn't you get married to the biological father of the child, if that part was referring to me, I still think that's speaking to that patriarchal brainwashing that a lot of people are under, whether it's man or women, thinking that, you know, the man, insert man here and life goes right way of thinking, which is absolutely ridiculous. It really is. As far as my son, he's 28. He's 28. Somebody says, I feel like, somebody quoted me when I said I feel like it was a race issue, and then they put OFMG. Meanwhile, gets out of the military, not a job, gets a house, gotta love America. She's driving her Tesla, complaining about her not getting her rent. God, I feel like this would be so much better if I was doing this in the morning and cared. Put the utilities in your name and add it to the monthly rent. If tenant don't pay, you give them a deadline monthly to pay the bill, or it will be cut off. Okay, so there's two things with that. A, none of the utilities are in my name. All the utilities are in her name. She pays her own utilities, right? If the utilities were in my name, all that means is that I would be losing even more money, because clearly she wouldn't pay that either. Under Maryland law, it is illegal to cut off utilities because somebody's not paying their rent. So technically, if you have the ability to pay the utility, you're supposed to still pay the utility. If the utilities are cut off because you call and say cut it off, you can be found guilty. If the utilities are cut off because you didn't pay, that's fine, right? The utilities are cut off because I didn't pay. But at the same time, now that's a ding on your credit report. That's a ding in your history. So I just say I like it the way it is. Her utilities are in her name and she pays her own utilities. Because right now, if a utility was in my name and she just ran up the bill, because there was also a moratorium on utilities where they weren't allowed to cut off the bills either due to COVID. If that was the case, it would just run up, run up, run up. She would move or leave or whatever, and that big bill would belong to me. Why has the woman been on Section 8 for so long? You should have been put her out. That's not the way it works. You don't put out people just because they're on Section 8. Why has she been on Section 8 for so long? I don't know. That's a personal decision. You took a mortgage at 7%. That's like private party or loan shark rate. Back when I did my mortgage, which was in 2004, it was in that time where banks were doing a lot of interesting things to get people approved for a loan. I don't even remember what my credit score was. Y'all, I was not always about this finance life, honestly. I used to just, I don't know what I was doing. But, I don't know. The 7% could have been because my credit was bad. It could have been anywhere between 5 and 7%. I think I said that before. I don't remember. I have the paperwork around here somewhere, but I'm not going to go look for it. But it was pretty high. And like I said before, that this was during the time where the banks would actually give you 2 loans. They would give you one loan covering 80% of the house. Then they'll give you another loan covering 20% of the house. It was just a lot of things that they were doing, which also contributed to the crash in 2008/2009. Or was it 2007? It was somewhere between 2007 and 2009 where markets crashed. A lot of people lost their homes. There was a lot of foreclosures going on because a lot of people were in loans they could not afford. I could afford my loan. Unfortunately, I was just paying a lot of interest on my loan. So my monthly payment was super high. If you have to evict her, does she walk away without paying the arrears? Actually, those would be 2 separate court cases. You would actually have to file a judgment for eviction, and then you would also have to file a separate judgment for the arrears. I need to know, has the tenant approached you about a payment plan to say she is moving or whatever, or is she just invisible, no contact with you at all? No contact with me at all. In the beginning, she would text me that she was trying to get money to make the payment. She used to say a lot of those things in the beginning, but nothing ever came. And I think I responded to her at one point because she was like, I'm working on getting you something. She would say, getting you something. And I said, well, you told me that last month and you never sent anything. Do you have fair rental value coverage through your homeowner's policy? I don't even know what that is. Is the area any better to attract people with good credit scores? And I'm thinking that what they're asking there is the house in a desirable location. Honestly, I think it is. The house is in a location where there's lots of townhomes and single family homes around it, but it is a little rural. So I would say there isn't major infrastructures around it. So there's not a military base. There's not any colleges or schools. You would need a car. So I would say because of that, I think of it as one of those areas that people move to because they're going to settle down, or people move to because they have transportation and they're familiar with the area, and it may be a little more cost effective in that area. So that's the way I see that. So as far as attracting people with good credit scores, no, it is what it is, you know. Have you thought about increasing the total rent? Actually, I have thought about increasing the total rent. I was going to go through Section 8 and work through getting another rental increase and seeing where that went. Cut off the utilities. I can't. They're not in my name. And then somebody just said it here. Look up Ericka Williams. She had a guest on that dealt with this. Actually, she dealt with this. And she has a video about that on her channel. So go over there. This is something that she's dealing with. Their tenant is a group of them that went in and bought an investment property that came with a tenant. Their tenant hadn't paid in over 20 months. And right now she's saying if they don't get anything by October, basically they're just never gonna rent or buy any investments in that state again. But I'm telling you guys, people are going through this throughout the country. This isn't just me because I'm a woman who ain't playing, blah, 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 blah. This is a thing. This is a thing right now. You are inept as a landlord. Yeah. See, that's the thing. With this stuff and with this channel, like, I do not let whatever people call me get under my skin because I know who I am. I know my track record. I know how it all goes. It's okay. It's okay. I'm inept as a landlord today because you hear the story today. But had this been the first 10 years of me renting, this wouldn't have been my story. Would I have been inept then? And I say, you know, a lot of us have leases in place. We have contracts in place. We have all that good stuff in place. And it's all fine and dandy until somebody doesn't honor it. Then we're in this place where I am now, where it's not honored. So then you have to figure out what's next, what's next, what's next. Because I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think people move into a situation, getting a tenant, and then researching how to evict the tenant at the same time. Who does that? Who does that? It's almost like, I'm going to get married, but let me research how to get a divorce. I think we really expect for our contracts to go well. And then when they don't go well, we then pivot and readjust and figure out what we have to do to change, to turn things around. Did she lose her job due to the pandemic? No. You shouldn't have bought your second house without a man or a husband to help you pay. Did you not apply for forbearance? No, I didn't apply for forbearance because I didn't need forbearance. Even with the forbearance, it comes with some things. It comes with, though they say that you can't be judged by it, I did hear that it does show up on your credit report in a way, like a code. I don't know, I have to get my friend to explain it. But anyways, there are some repercussions to the forbearance, as well as the fact that, okay, you don't pay your mortgage right now, today, this month, but we're going to tack it on to the end of the loan. We all know that all that is the mortgage company able to make more money at the end of the loan. Now, I do get it. Some people say, well, what difference does it make? Because between now and then, you could just sell your house, right? And that is true. This is why I do think that they do file it on your credit report under a special code, so that others know, like, while you feel like you're not being judged, oh, it's known this person actually filed for forbearance. So at this point in time, I don't need a forbearance. I'm able to pay the mortgage on both properties. Airbnb is good if the property is in a tourist state. I don't think it's in a tourist state. Like I said, I think it's in a location that is a little far out away from things. So it wouldn't be my ideal place. Only time I think I would do an Airbnb in that area is if I had family and I needed someplace to stay close by. And there's actually a website. It's called airdna.co. Well, airdna.co lets you put in your information for your property, and it can give you some statistics about the Airbnb data in that area. Who said you can't write off a loss of rental income? Okay, so in the video I said you cannot write off rental income, and I stand by that. While I can do write-offs and I can do deductions for my rental property and for the business of my rental, loss of income is not tax deductible. If loss of income was tax deductible, what stops me from saying my rental income is $3,000 a month and I didn't get it this month? Write it off. What stops me from saying my rental income is $2,000 a month and I only made $1,000 a month? Write off that $1,000. So my point is, the loss of rental income is not tax deductible. I didn't say I could not write off rental expenses. Yes, I write off tons of rental expenses, from my mileage to go check on my rental unit, from whatever it costs me to make repairs, whatever I have to hire people to do things, the security system that I was paying on, all of that stuff is a deduction. But the loss of income is not deductible. Why not file for rent assistance as the landlord? And I made an entire video about that. First, how did you buy a home with no job? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's clear that up a little bit. I didn't say I didn't have a job. What I said was I was getting out of the military. So, of course, you guys know, in order to buy a home, you have to provide income statements. You usually have to provide a few months worth of income statements to include your current income statements. So I did have that in my LES, my leave and earnings statements. But what I knew that I did not disclose because it wasn't part of the question process was that I was preparing to get out of the military. Because I knew I wanted to get out of the military, I was like, this is a perfect time to buy something while I'm still in the military. That's what I did. It's a risk I took. But I also had about I had like $15,000 saved. I had $15,000 saved at the time that I was like, yo, if I don't find another job between getting out of the military and being a civilian, I still have money to cover my mortgage. It was a risk I was willing to take. A lot of people had left comments about I defrauded the government. I don't know. It was a bunch of stuff. Even some people even said you weren't allowed to use your VA loan if you was getting out of the military. That makes absolutely no sense. You do know that, right? I'm talking to you. You know that, right? Makes no sense. I use my VA loan now. I'm not in the military. A VA loan is not for if you're in the military. A VA loan is a benefit you have because you served in the military and it's one of your benefits, okay? So no, I did not defraud the government. I bought a home and I was brave enough to do it when I knew I was going to be getting out of the military. I did not stop and say, oh, I'm about to get out of the military. I'm so scared. I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared. How long was you in the military? I was in the military for 7 years. You should have stated in writing that you don't allow pets. I did state in writing that I don't allow pets. It's in my lease agreement. With any tenant, do a proper screening and think of yourself first in your property goals. I did do a proper screening, but like I said, one thing a screening will not show you is the future. A screening won't show you what can happen in life. You know, health issues happen, economic issues happen, people can lose jobs, people can gain jobs, people can lose their voucher, people can, there's just so many things that a screening cannot predict for. But everything that it could predict for, it did. And I had an awesome tenant for 10 years. Oh, would you do it if it was a man, specifically a black man? Honestly, guys. Okay, story time. This ain't my first rodeo, y'all. I've actually had a place before where I had a black man in the place, and I had to have that person removed too. Well, I didn't have to have him removed physically, but I did have to end that agreement and move out, and then I had to catch up on all the bills of that place. So I have done this for a black man before. Business is business for me. It's not about she's a woman, I feel sorry for her, or he's a man and I don't. No. Business is business, but at the same time, humans are humans and human conditions are human conditions. While it's business, I still do have a heart and I still do have a conscience and I still do want to help people overall. But of course not to my own expense or my own detriment. When it starts getting to that level, which it is now, then I have to do something different, right? So that's what happened with that. Somebody says she admits to mortgage fraud, LMAO. And then somebody says, so you bought yourself a house using a hustle and now you're being hustled. How does it feel? Well, it would feel better if I knew what the heck you were talking about. I bought a home using my VA loan when I was in the military, right before I got out of the military. A home that I lived in for 5 years. Where's the hustle? Where's the hustle? I don't know where the hustle is, but I've already explained that. Why are you obviously paying her rent? I'm not paying her rent, but what I am doing is paying my mortgage. And mainly because I care about my credit. I care about those little things. Then somebody said, never vote in Democrat again. I don't know what Democrat or Republican or anything else has to do with any of this. Remember when this first started, Trump was the president. The moratoriums were enacted under his administration. But for some reason, a lot of times people have short memory spans. And when Biden became president just this year in January, suddenly this is all his fault. Trump was the president. A Republican was the president. Vote for who you want. Don't know how people can drive without a seatbelt. I know. It's a bad habit. I apologize. I do wear my seatbelt. The problem is sometimes I wear it improperly. Sometimes without even realize I'm doing it, I slide the thing underneath my arm. I know it's wrong. It's a bad habit. I'm working on it. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. God's still working on me. The devil is a lie. The woman realtor sold you a house you could not afford, which payments were daunting from the get-go. You mentioned being scared at the size of your mortgage payment in an early video. You lived in this home, then were forced to rent it out due to not being able to still afford to live there. Your realtor friend did you no favors. Will she help in back rental payments? This is a big red flag not to buy. You got it all wrong, honey. I could afford my house. Here's the thing, guys. You all know that whenever you're going from one norm to another norm, the new norm may feel scary because it's not something you're used to. I was used to, before buying my first home, living in apartments. I knew apartment rent. I knew how that worked. I knew how it worked when something would break and that sort of thing. But when I was going to buy my own home, what was scary both times, what was scary with buying the first home was the fact that, oh wow, now I'm gonna have a mortgage. Now if anything breaks, that's gonna be up to me. Buying my second home, when I said the same thing, I was like, I was scared. I didn't know if I was gonna have to eat peanut butter and jelly. Again, that's because when I bought my second home, I was just starting my rental search for a renter, right? So I knew I was gonna have to cover both mortgages. And the other part was, my second home, the mortgage was way bigger in comparison to the norm I was used to. Then I also said that once I moved in, I realized like, oh wow, yeah, I make more than enough. I can do this. Nothing's breaking. I got this. And so it's just that fear of the unknown, that fear of I'm about to do something I've never done before. For instance, another point was when I bought my first luxury car, when I bought my first Lexus, I was afraid with that too. Even though I had a whole check for $50,000 to go buy the car, it felt scary because I wasn't used to turning over $50,000 in one lump sum before. I wasn't used to it. But when I bought my next car after that, the Tesla that I have now, I bought that with cash. I turned over out of my bank account, my own cash money, over $30,000, and I didn't feel no ways about it because I was used to it by that point. So it's not so much of being afraid or doing something you can't afford. It was just the adjustment of doing something you've never done before. There was the difference. And so no, my relative friend doesn't have to help me make back payments or anything like that because I can afford this lifestyle. I can afford this life. I have tons of budget videos on this channel where we go over good budgeting practices and we go over how to be a good steward of your money. All those things are there. I am not in financial hardship. I wasn't then and I'm not now. I never was. My whole life, I've never been in financial hardship. It's a talent I have. Have you tried to refinance the property and get a lower rate and lower payments? I have not tried to refinance the property. Right now, my interest rate on the property is 3.37%. And I did talk to the current holder, the current mortgage holder of the property, the current lender of the property, about possibly lowering the interest rate on the property. But they said that if I refinance it, I would have to do PMI on the property. Right now, I don't have PMI on the property and I don't want PMI on the property. But actually, I really should dig deeper into that because what I do know is that a lot of times if the bank feels like they're not going to get anything out of a refinance process, they're not really going to be all that helpful in going through the process with you. But one thing I do know is that you can always go through a refinance process, and when you get your final paperwork, like you can tell them up front what you're looking for, what you want, what you don't want, this, that, and the other. And if they can work that out for you, they will. But at the end of the day, when you get your final paperwork and you're looking at all the numbers, if it's not up to what you want, you do not have to sign for it at the end of the day. So I think I will look into that a little further. Somebody said a finance Tesla doesn't save you money on gas. I didn't finance my Tesla. My Tesla's paid for. That's why on my budget videos you don't see a line item for Tesla. I had some comments that refer to, one's like, call Dave Ramsey, and then somebody's like, no offense ma'am, but you make poor decisions and have a track record of making poor decisions. Please look into Dave Ramsey and do better. So because of that, I was excited when I seen a question that seemed to be talking about what I'm going through on the Dave Ramsey show. So I made an entire video about it. Check out that video, Eye in the Sky.